slides. You should be good. Thanks. Your updated copy.
Oh.
Get some time to review the candidates.
We need to let them know. Hold on. Yeah, hold on, I have the Wi-Fi. Not letting.
If you're on the public, are you on the public connection?
Wait, will you have a?
Is there a little bit of an echo here?
There is an echo. There's two. I just have one lane. Let me just like, thank you. This one. The public one? Why are you echoing?
I just gotta do the, no, it's the TV. That's fine. Sync with it? Sounds a little bit.
Actually, I think it's the Wi. So I'll just read it from the. Are you good? Already did. It's something wrong with the Wi-Fi. It's okay. All right. We're gonna get started. Welcome, everyone. Councilwoman, which one are you here for tonight?
I'm first up, I think, already.
Okay, you're already first up, okay. We are here for the September 6th meeting. The planning director will be here shortly. So bear with me, the first time I've read this preamble. But I'm actually blind, so. I thought I could read it here, but I will do this. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law, section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio. Notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Recusals from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any there's no voting of any vote in order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard. We ask that you use the raise hand feature if you're online before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop or mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking the raise hand feature again and mute your microphone. We will be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be found by activating the click chat button located at the bottom of your WebEx screen. Next. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are all being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter should be submitted through proper channels and those submitted in advance have been considered. We've also received emails from those who provided written comment on particular matters. Proper channel. I need to join. It's not really written correctly. We have also received emails from those who provided written comment on a particular matter. Proper channels for comments are listed below. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by Wednesday at 12 noon deadline are collected by the city planning staff and disseminated to commission members prior to any scheduled meeting. Thank you. So, apologize for my first effort here. Oh, there's more.
Would you like- Good morning, everybody. So more about the meeting rules and procedures for those of you who are new to the process. The chair will call each agenda item and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. And once the presentation has concluded, the chair will ask planning staff to summarize any design review committee recommendations or any public comments received. The deadline for public comments is noon on the Wednesday, prior to any regularly scheduled city planning commission meeting, as we mentioned. Any of those comments received by the deadline will be placed into the Dropbox folder prior to the meeting. Staff will also identify any members of the public present and scheduled to speak. If you have not yet done so, there's a sign-in sheet for the record. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item for which they have an interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff if applicable. The commission will then begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member except the chair may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called.
Thank you. Thank you, appreciate it. Let's call the roll.
Anthony,
Present.
Luther,
Present.
Curry,
Present.
McCray Scott,
Present.
Sergeant,
Present.
we have a quorum.
Thank you. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the August 16th meeting. We got these in advance via email. We also have copies here in front of us. I was not in attendance, so I will abstain from the motion, but are there any questions or comments or motions?
Madam Chair, move to approve August 16th, 24 meeting minutes as presented.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. We call the rolls.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Curry,
Abstain.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
McKnight, I'm sorry. Here. Sergeant,
Abstain.
Motion carried. Thank you. So first order of business is a zoning text amendment, which is actually a public hearing. I do not have the rules, but I do know them by heart. Which is, since this is the zoning matter, the public hearing, we will first hear from staff. We will second hear from sponsors or the councilwoman if she'd like to speak first, or wait until there's public comment. And then we will take public comment. We will first take those who are in favor of the zoning matter, and then second, we will take those who are opposed to the zoning matter. If you're online, I'll ask that you raise your hand, and we'll keep the comments to 3 minutes or less. And I ask that you address the chair. Then we'll close the public portion of the zoning matter. We have a few matters, so these will be the rules for all the zoning matters that we have. And then the commission will have time to ask questions or deliberate on the matter. So with that, the first item is ordinance 639-2024 to amend the title of the chapter 352 and section 35201 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, as amended by ordinance number 3077-A-889, which was passed June 17th, 1971. And this is enacting a new section relating to lighting requirements for outdoor parking lots. So first we'll turn it over to staff.
Actually, we'll turn it over to Councilman Moore and Jennifer O'Leary for their presentation. This is introduced by council. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning to the board. I'll do a brief introduction and then I'll hand it over to council, to the attorney for city council, Jennifer O'Leary. But I want to tell you a story. I'll tell you a story about my wonderful residents who live at 7050 Broadway Avenue, which is a senior building that's run by private management who lives out of the county. And the residents who live in this building have endured a lot over the years. They only have one elevator, which unfortunately has broken down more than one time. And earlier this year, it actually broke down for 32 days in total. And they have been organizing and working as a community to try to improve basic functions in the building. And something that they came to me with over and over and over again was that the parking lot outside of their apartment building was not well lit. And they were worried they would come home either on paratransit or by their own cars at night, and where they could park their cars in the parking lot, it would be pitch dark when they would get out. And I felt for them, and I went to their landlord and I said, will you fix the lighting in the parking lot? And the landlord said no. He over and over again, there's been other issues. He's refused to meet with the tenants, not been very responsive, but there wasn't a way for me to measurably show him that the lighting was substandard. In his mind, these are seniors, they don't see as well as they used to, the parking lot is fine for the rest of us. Let alone, set aside the fact that it's his tenants who are saying that it's pitch dark, but that's how I found myself at 10:30 at night this past summer with a $50 illuminance meter that I had bought off of Amazon.com to measure something called foot candles. And if you've never heard of a foot candle before, it is a unit of measurement, like in science class when you talk about liters or grams. And a foot candle, kind of like horsepower, is an old time phrase for how we measure the lighting in a space. So in a room like this, that's nicely lit, but doesn't have sunlight, I don't know, from what I've researched, this would maybe be 14 or 15 foot candles. And outside in a parking lot at night, there are standards that have been established by boards, which you'll hear more about from Jennifer O'Leary, for how well lit that parking lot should be at night. And it should be at least 1 foot candle, ideally between 1 and 2.5 foot candles. And when I took that illuminance meter out at 10:30 at night, I walked around the parking lot, and sure enough, there were corners of that parking lot that were at 0.02 foot candles of illuminance. These people could not see anything. I could not see anything. And sure enough, when I went into the corner, wouldn't you know, there was a nice Chevy Tahoe with some folks in the corner doing some stuff that I wasn't able to see. And when I looked at them, they were definitely not seniors, and they definitely weren't supposed to be at that parking lot. And this seemed to me, for all the work that my residents had done to try to fix this issue, that they weren't getting anywhere. And wouldn't you know, we're the legislators for the city of Cleveland, and we help oversee the standards for how our city works and operates. And so with the help of Jennifer O'Leary, we began to research how other cities manage the illuminance and lighting of outdoor parking spaces. And that led us to the proposal that you'll hear here today. Now, I want to be really clear about one thing, which I'm sure Jennifer and the board will hit on as well, which is that what we pass here today can't be retroactive. I'm not actually going to be able to use this to go back to my landlord for this particular parking lot and say, you need to hit this standard. That's not fair. That's just like we have for any law, you can't make it retroactive. But we do want to set a standard as a city. And I think it's fair to say to our seniors and to say to our residents when they live in these buildings with large parking lots, that we have a standard for how well lit up it should be at night. We don't want to send that light up into the air and get birds and disturb neighbors and have, bright lights that disturb other people. That's clearly handled elsewhere in our law, and this by no means changes it. It just changes that as the lighting shines down upon the parking lot, how bright should it be throughout the parking lot? And that's why I was really happy to get to work with council staff, talk with the city planning department, consult with city planning, Tom Vanover, and others to make sure that this fit well into our existing code. So with that, I will hand it over to Jennifer to get into the details.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Through the chair and to the commission, this ordinance, as the councilwoman said, it basically sets lighting standards for outdoor parking lots.
Pardon me, Madam Chair. Who are you?
Oh, I am Jennifer O'Leary. I am special counsel to the city council.
Thank you.
Sorry. I thought she introduced me. So, and it applies to outdoor parking lots with 10 or more spaces. The lighting requirements would be required during non-daylight hours. And these parking lots must be illuminated with 1 to 2.5 foot candles of light. This was based on recommendations from the Illuminating Engineering Society. They recommend an average of 0.75 to 3 foot candles in uncovered lots, parking lots. And we also met with Shannon Leonard, planning staff, and took a look at the new form-based zoning code, which does have some parking requirements and reviewing permits that max out at 2.5. So that's how we went with 2.5 instead of 3. We looked at our code and where this best fits in the code. The only other place in our codified ordinance that mentions foot candles is in another ordinance that deals with alternative pedestrian access routes. And then alternative pedestrian access routes, you have to have not less than 3 foot candles. So we also looked at other cities. I think it started out with an ordinance that the councilman found in Arizona. But we found that there are these foot candle lighting requirements for parking lots, also in Columbus, Toledo, Dayton, and Dublin, Ohio. Differences, but they do have these standards. Just a word on enforcement, again, it is not retroactive. If a building has already had their plans approved and their lighting approved, they do not have to comply with any standards. However, if a building was approved and the lighting plan was approved at a certain level, they do have to maintain that level. That would be something that we could enforce. And the tool for the enforcement would be this Illuminix meter, which councilman's, I guess, cost $50. I found some that were as cheap as $25 on Amazon. Any questions?
That's what regard,
Technical, it was okay to ask a technical question.
with regards to enforcement, after someone is not compliant, it's the next step that the city takes in order to get them.
Okay, so, it's mostly the plan review. So every new plan will be reviewed for these lighting requirements. But if there, it would be complaint based, if someone complains that the parking lot isn't complying with the standards, then building and housing would be the one to enforce the zoning code and to issue a notice of a violation. And require that they bring that parking lot into compliance with the lighting standards.
I have a question, and unfortunately, Mr. Vanover's not here. Either the Ohio Electric Code or Ohio Building Code or National Electric Code deals with this. And when you submit your plans for review, that's a criteria that one must meet. You must provide light, foot candle, lighting, studies, et cetera. So my concern is, let's just make sure they all align, because I think what we don't want to cause to happen is we're actually causing something more stringent or more convoluted than what the code requires. I know certain communities have gotten in trouble trying to enforce something that's more than what's required by the national or the building codes that have been adopted by the Ohio Revised Code.
Through the chair to the commission, I can address that issue. I did speak a lot with Tom Vanover, Commissioner Vanover, in drafting this. And he did say that there are not any codes that are directly related to this open parking lots, and this wouldn't conflict with that. He did review this case.
Let's make the discussion, I'd like to open it up first unless the technical question.
I would like to see that, because I am an architect, and I do recall, again, I'm a recovering architect, I don't practice anymore. However, I do recall having to meet those standards when we're designing projects. And I believe it's in the National Electric Code, if I'm not mistaken. So I just wanted to be very clear there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, unless, we can add that addition but let's hear from the public first, if there's anybody gonna speak to this, and then we can discuss how we would resolve that issue. Is there anyone online or here in person who would like to speak, a proponent or someone who's in favor of this, zoning text amendment? And I can see online, so let me see if there's anybody. I don't see any hands raised. Is there anybody here who would like to speak, who might be opposed to this, or even just has a question about it? So we'll close the public portion. Is there any other, I think it's a really good concern to address. Are there any other questions or concerns or thoughts? I would just say commend you for having a problem and then doing something about it. And although, of course, people will be grandfathered in, as people come to make improvements to their property, even those that are grandfathered in. I think it's really important, to have something that can be enforced, especially when people are renting, and they maybe don't have any choice to go somewhere else. So thank you for that. Are there anything else besides August?
I just want to be clear, Madam Chair. I'm not against what you're proposing. I just want to make sure that all the ducks are in line and there's no issue down the road with other model codes that exist. And the enforcement part, totally, I get it, so.
Would you be open to, in your motion, if you will make one,
Oh,
to leave it for the confirmation of that, to leave it to the director, so you should just confirm that they're
Sure.
really, they don't have to come back here.
I did confirm that on town Hanover, right, I will again.
Okay,
Yes.
so we should have that come, but we'll let Joyce confirm that if possible.
this is a
This is your motion.
volunteer day.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I move to approve ordinance 639/2024 as it relates to outdoor parking lots and lighting levels, with the caveat that the applicant discussed with the building department, Commissioner Vanover, any discrepancies or any issues that might occur with, in conflict, that might be in conflict with other model codes. Second.
And you can leave it to the chair, you should add that to sign off.
Yes, and also that Director Wong and staff work closely with the applicant to resolve any issues if they do arise.
A motion, do we have a second? A second, any other discussion? Okay.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes,
Curry,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
I forgot the COVID of the story, which was that they were just off 1019 because of a rash of car break-ins in this parking lot 2 weeks ago. So
So,
you are, I will be happy to report this to the residents of their struggles and, well received or been heard.
question before I read the next one, since we saw this on the short-term rentals. Remind me what we did last time.
We did something similar where we made a motion with certain conditions for review for this particular piece, and because there were some substantive changes, council is coming back for us to update before we should sign off.
Okay, so this sort of coming back to kind of address the questions you had. Okay. So the next one, zoning text amendment, is ordinance number 588-2024. This is to simplify the codified ordinances of the city, completed by enacting new section 686B-01, 686B .0.11 and .99. And this is related to short-term rentals. And so we'll handle this the same way. We will have presentation, then we'll open it up for public comment before we have a discussion. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. As the director said, we weren't here before, and this was approved with some questions that we needed to answer. After, yeah, these are the amendments, and I think it's just easier if you guys have them in front of you so that when I'm talking about them, you see what I'm talking about. After we did come to the planning commission, I gave a presentation to both the sponsors of the piece as well as some interested council members, and they had some requested amendments to make. The first one, however, was because basically a VRBO request. They wanted the city to regulate what is actually in the ads and the listings. And lo and behold, we have researched whether we can do that or not, we can't. That runs afoul with something called the Communications Decency Act, which basically says you cannot regulate information in advertisements. So, and it also, it's like the First Amendment issue, commercial speech. So, the first amendment that you see here on the shorter page is deleting that second sentence about the owner should cause the license number to clearly display on the face of the advertisement. This is to stay in compliance with the Communications Decency Act. So that's the first of it. The other ones were requested by council and mainly to clarify certain issues. So in Division D of Section 686B.05, you'll see that certificate was dropped. But this clarifies that rentals over 30 days are not short-term rentals. They wanted that in the ordinance. And that anything over 30 days requires a certificate of rental registration. Number 3, this was basically fixing a typographical typo. And then we are taking out or less than 24 hours. So there was a discussion here last time about how long the short-term rental should be. And we said for a period of not more than 30 days, 30 consecutive days, we had in there or less than 24 hours. There was a discussion, well, you know, why would you do that? It's not really practical. And I did find it in one code in Texas, I think it was, which is really where I got it, because nobody else here, nobody else had that 24-hour limitation. So we are amending it to take that out. And then the fourth one also is council really wanted specifics in what is required to be in full compliance as limited lodging, so they're not subject to the density limitation, they don't need variance. So you can see the underlying language there. It just reiterates what is full compliance with limited lodging, what it takes to be a limited lodging. And so, full compliance with section 337.251 means a dwelling unit is operated as limited lodging for fewer than 91 days per calendar year, and the lodging to any particular lodger was for not more than 30 consecutive days, and compliance with the standards set forth in Division C of that section, including providing and maintaining smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detection devices. It was very important to the council members to just get that in there so that everybody understood this is what it means to be in full compliance for a full year as limited lodging. And with this, there probably will not be many who don't need variance. Yes, so those are the main amendments the council wanted. They also did want a general increase in civil penalties. That's the page you see here. They just felt that what we had was not enough. The LLCs and the businesses, the advertisers that do promote the Airbnbs and limited lodging, just really, you know, any kind of penalties was just simple for them to really matter. So I did look at other Ohio penalties were pretty much the same, but New York City had some pretty increased penalties. So determined that we basically increased the penalties by about $1,000. And New York City had an interesting thing. If you so like failure to obtain a license, you should be fined the lesser of $5,000 or 3 times the revenue generated by the short-term rental for each such violation. That basically you can't profit from an illegal act, right? Also in F, we would say the same, thing. Operate without variance. You will be fined $5,000 or 3 times the revenue generated by short-term rental for each violation, so the lesser. You give up any profit if you doing this legal. And the others you see, you basically fining them $1,000 for everything, went up from 150 to. That will hurt a little more for the people that are liable. Those are the amendments that were made after we were here before.
Any technical questions before we open it up?
Under item 4, as relates to including, providing, and maintaining smoke detectors. I'm not trying to be a stickler for detail, but should it be modified, to say operational? I mean, because providing, to me, doesn't necessarily mean they're installed. I mean, I'm just trying to make sure we don't have any issues here, you know what I mean? Because you could provide something.
Let me,
Yeah.
operation, okay. Let me, I was taking language from actually 337.251, so let me just make sure it all jumps. Okay, and yeah, absolutely.
I just
it-
put
it's
my,
going to
like, how can I
providing, I'll
wiggle
say-
through this kind of
Yeah.
concept?
Provide an
It's like,
operating.
someone shows up and you hand them a smoke detector along
Sure,
the way.
okay. Okay.
Any technical questions?
In reference to, fine per violation, is that per like, each kind of stay, or is that?
Yes.
Okay, let's open it up real quick, and then we can ask more questions when we come back. Is there anybody here or online who would like to speak in favor of this text amendment? Is anybody? Is there anybody here who's opposed to this text amendment or has questions? I don't see anyone. Wait. No, that was, I did not see anyone. You're okay. So we'll close the public portion. Any more discussion or changes? General question, I was just curious about. You know, with everything, there's unintended consequences. So, probably one of the likely ones, which I think is intended, is that you're probably gonna have mostly individuals aren't gonna go through this. Basically, but so like a person, an individual is not going to go through all this to Airbnb their upper half of their house, right? That's just not fair. And so I guess I wonder, like, will this actually encourage more companies to do this? Like, will that be the outcome? Do you believe, and is that where your intention is, that whether they're locally or not from Cleveland, like that, it will actually end up being either apartment buildings or places where people have the capacity to do this, and so it'll be less kind of spirit of short-term rentals and more of business, right?
Well, we are regulating them as businesses, so even if it's, the mom and pop house, regulated as a business. The intention, I understand from the council members, is not to stop the individual, but to regulate everybody equally. We may end up getting some more, LLCs, but there's a lot of them.
No, I just meant it's one of the unintended consequences, that individuals are just not, are like in Cleveland, maybe that's a good thing.
Not,
They're just not doing it, right? That's
But-
possible.
I've been staying in this product called Sounder. It's a hotel product, and it might occur in like a condo building or in just like
Yeah, they.
atypical
shared
places. And, and I think that's what
That's what's
you're
gonna
getting
happen.
to, yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, basically, that this is just a likelihood, and I don't know what, I'm asking, I don't know whether that's good or bad. It's sort of like the democratization of this, that was the spirit of it. It's just created another big business, right? As opposed, and that's okay, because we have to regulate it, but pointing it out,
Mhm.
basically.
I mean, really, the idea is to decrease the short-term rentals in neighborhoods.
Yes.
No matter.
Yeah.
That's.
That's,
I never think it's, you know, anecdotally, it's a good rental that's in all of this. So it's just a different person looking for it. I'm going just very like that thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to see the local flair or stand, it's a different mindset.
But I think the nuisance, I'm just gonna point to that. A little bit of this has been driven by the nuisance, and where the nuisances actually happen is not in the places they actually want to encourage people to visit. It's in the downtown or the neighborhoods, like Tremont, where there have been real problems, right? Those are the places that are going to be fine for the Saunders should go there. What this is going to, the unintended consequences is the rest of the city where you want people to visit aren't going to happen. So I'm just pointing it out. I'm not saying it's good or bad. There's always unintended consequences. So, do you see where I'm going?
yeah.
It's another, going to be another kind of a bias and travel towards the larger, more well-established parts of the city, where those folks are going to now go as a business.
One of them in Philadelphia is like right in the middle of where all the students live, which is kind of cool. But anyway,
When that'll happen, the person circle will leave the other one. Anyway, let's keep going. All right,
I
I get
have
a
a
motion.
very important question.
Uh-oh.
Why does legal paper still exist?
It's a lot to say. It's a lot to say before
I got a story about that, but I'll keep it with me, myself.
I should never thought of it. All right, any other questions or comments? So this is going to council now.
Can I just make one quick
Sure.
clarification? So under section 3 of the short game, I don't see less than 24 hours crossed out, so it should be like.
And it will be.
Yeah.
It's a long explanation,
Okay.
so, and kind of important, so.
No problem.
But it is.
But it heads to council next, right? If we
Yeah,
approve it,
yes.
we'll have council, will be read, and,
Yes.
yeah, okay. Okay.
Motion? I make a motion that ordinance number 588-24 be amended with the amendment stated.
Second, call the roll.
Who said the motion?
Eric, go ahead.
Anthony,
Yes.
Blueberry,
Yes.
Curry.
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Motion carried. We have lot split and consolidation, permanent parcel number 105-07-020-21 and 76. This is at 1058 East 62nd Street. Is Carl or is it? Carl, are you Sinai? Can I say it right? Say your name first name, Sinai?
Yes.
Robeson. Please come forward. Present. Lot split.
I may, Madam Chair. This is coming back to us again.
Oh, yeah.
This is one that now has been resolved.
Okay.
From discussions with our zoning staff as well as with. We are ready to proceed.
Go ahead. I think we have that on the screen. You're in there.
Yeah, this is.
The property concern is just a small house, a nice house, it's happens to sit better than 80 feet back from 62nd Street, which is the driveway for 62nd to that house. And the house is kind of stuck in the middle of other properties. Currently, my wife and I own properties on that house. And there's an old industrial building we converted to a house, our own home, next to it on one side, another small apartment building on the other. And we've been using the property for the past 25 or 30 years in the fashion that we want to designated now. Because there's a long front yard and our own home had no property around it at all when I bought it. It was just a tiny building with nothing on the inside. So we're hoping to pull the front part of this long lot next to us, attach it to ours, and separate it from that, which still has adequate property on both sides and access to the driveway, so it would be a flag lot. As a, driveway that we propose should belong to that house. Going back to the house itself, and I actually had added some more property on all sides of the house. People have been renting the place or been no problems with it. There's a porch on the front and a little sidewalk that goes right across the front of the house over the driveway. We propose to make the border, which and so we would just like to get it designated as the way it's actually been functioning for the past 25, 30 years, which would give us the property next to our house.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I also like to add a few comments. But basically, I had trouble finding the old plan, but if you can see my cursor on the screen, here we can, I guess, from the table, but it was, as you mentioned, this was proposed to just be a square lot, parcel C instead of a flag lot. But most of the changes allowing adding this, alleyway here per se, access onto the lot. And also adding these areas that are hatched as no build zones, which is, this plan is a lot more palatable for building and housing, as it's not cutting into any existing buildings, things of that nature. And so, and if this couple does decide to add any additions to their home, if it's anything outside of going up or, additions or renovations on the inside, they may need a variance from board zoning through generally speaking. But this plan is a lot more what building and housing would like to see as opposed to the previous plan.
And I think my biggest issue last time was that you created a landlocked parcel,
Correct.
which you resolved, which was something that's helped that.
For those of us who aren't that smart, say here, can you just trace with your cursor where the lot, I see the lot one, how the flag lot, but where's the other split line?
So the blue is really calling out the splits.
Okay,
We want her to go up there.
no, I understand now.
Okay.
Blue is a lot, so.
Okay.
Right, well, that you resolved my biggest concern, and I know Commissioner Fluker's is always like, are we creating something that creates a problem for building and housing? So you resolved both of them for us, my opinion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve lot consolidation and split for parcel number 10507-021, 020-076, 6 at 1058 East 62nd Street as presented.
A second.
Question on a second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thanks for working with the staff because I think it's better. So better for all of us. How's that? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both. Thanks for coming down. The next item was withdrawn. And I have a question because is it also later on the agenda?
No, this one is not. The West 78th Street agenda item actually does not need planning commission approval since it does meet the code. So it was withdrawn.
Okay.
Recent.
Got it.
That is a separate.
Separate case. Okay. We have one more lot split. Is a permanent parcel number 004-21-008. This is at 1025 Starkweather Avenue. Is Justin Davies here? Davies Architecture. Welcome.
City, my name's Justin Davies, with Davies Architecture. I'm here on behalf of the owner of 1025 Square River Ave, that's from you. And today we just really want to introduce the project, get some feedback, any potential issue, where it may see. The existing property, so the first slide up there, has some pictures of the existing property. There's a existing Victorian home that the owner had recently restored some years back. And the intent, it's a very deep lot. The hope is to lot split and build a new single family home on the back part of the lot. In addition to that, there's scoping to add a garage, 1-story garage space to the rear of the property. So the intended plan is to have a shared drive area with the access garages to all the house. Currently, there's an place for the driveway shared with the neighboring property to access the back property. Mr. Manfredi has been in touch with the neighboring property. I believe they had already granted a lot split for their property. So I think their intent is very similar to hopefully eventually add an additional home to the back property. Kind of plan south behind the adjacent home, that building's behind the street. So the so working to move down to additional property. They're also the owners of the property. Land right here of this home. And we understand that we'll need to get some zoning variance for square footage on the lot, as well as a possible rear setback, kind of at this conceptual level right now.
So we're looking at it closer here. I'm not sure we can approve a lot split. Do you have agreements with the adjacent, what do you call it, adjoiner building owner? I mean, you're asking us to approve something with a lot where there would be no drive unless you have agreements with the property.
So the current agreement for the driveway easement goes from the road all the way to the rear of the property, back property.
That exists.
That's
in place.
existing.
Okay. So, that is in place. And so no matter what they do below their line, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I believe we would like to maintain that driveway easement that runs from the front to the rear of the property. They also own the property to the right of this plan as well, but I think that the intent is to maintain
The
that.
permanent easement? The permanent easement is in place.
Madam Chair, I had issues with just the clarity of the drawing when I was looking at it. I wish, and this is just commentary for all of us, can we come up with a better graphic way to show these lot splits? It's really hard for me to discern what you're telling me, or what I'm seeing. And I see the drawing here, which is a little clearer, but right now it's just too noisy. I just need to know what the lot splits are.
Right.
Then show another slide, which might happen in the future. If that's okay with you guys. I'm not processing.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that. So, the red line kind of defines those lot split areas as of now. We intend to work with the surveyor to create a more clear consideration.
Just this one.
I get it, it's just,
It's very, you have to figure it out.
it's just easier to read it, it's just very clear what it is, and and didn't create another slide showing the graphics. That's just me, right? It's me.
Hey, good morning. This is Patrick
That
Manfred.
area would help. I mean,
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Patrick.
I'm sorry, could I say something really quick?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I can't see anyone or hear much, but just quick context behind the background of all this. So I've been the property owner there for 10 years. The neighboring, adjoining the property next to me that I have that easement with on the driveway, very friendly neighbor of mine. He's lot split, so his intention is to take that front building, leave it there that faces Starkweather, and then he intends to take the building in the rear of that, which you can see, I think it says adjoining, I can't read it right now.
Joiner
He's-
building.
Yeah, adjoining building. He's going to demo that at some point and build something further in the back of the property. So my thought here was, originally what I had always wanted to do was put in a carriage house back there, but it's, just frankly not going to work. And so my thought is I would like to build something that's very tasteful, that fits in with the front of the house. I restored that house from a pink aluminum sided house to a 1870 Victorian that it looks like today. So I would like to, the thought here is to build something in the rear that fits in with what he is, at some point going to build.
And this easement has been in place and recorded, Patrick?
Yes, yeah. Hey, Lillian.
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah.
And is the easement, just because of the graphic isn't clear, is the easement for basically the entire drive all the
Yeah.
way? Does it go all, because there wasn't a garage back there, right? So does it go all the way to the rear of the property, or does it stop? Is it, I guess what I'm really
It's the
asking.
it's the entire property. It's from the front all the way to the back.
The back, so you can always get into the new drive, to the new garage in that,
Right.
which will limit what can be built back there, truthfully,
Hmm.
for him. Like,
Right,
it limits what he can build
So because of the easement, he actually has to say,
south.
south of the drive.
I agree with you, it's very hard to get to the.
Yeah,
Oh, it's really
I
very
apologize.
hard.
And we'll certainly add that as he said,
Anybody else?
I saw that Donna Cordes had raised her hand from Tremont West.
I don't see it.
Good morning. Hi there. Good morning. This is Donna Gregonis. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the commission. This is Donna Gregonis, Tremont West Development Corporation. This is, and good morning, Patrick. And
Morning, Donna.
so this is the first I'm seeing of this project. I would say that typically this would probably not be an issue in the neighborhood, but I'm not sure what the end result is. And, Patrick could say today that he wants to build a carriage house, but then tomorrow it could cause some sort of condition that we're not certain of what the future is, and limiting what that future of that parcel could be. And this we haven't really talked about this project, so this is all new to me, but I just hesitant to make a habit of doing lot splits without knowing what the end result will be.
The end result, Donna, the end result here is an actual house. It's going to be a separate lot with a house.
Okay, but you have those plans?
and we did include some
Yeah.
schematic plans and elevation.
Plan review. What's will this go to local, will it?
One unit would be a zoning review and then go out to building and housing.
So we first started with zoning
Right.
to get approvals there, then we would proceed to APR. So we did provide in this package some schematic floor plans and elevations. They are kind of early on, they should be in the next slides here. In the package. And again, the intent is to, provide parking on the first floor, essentially parking and entry on the first floor, an open dining, kitchen and living area on the second, and, 2 bedrooms and kind of the accessory space on the third floor, with an open porch. And then the next slide shows some kind of preliminary, drawings of kind of the aesthetic we're looking for. Really kind of try to complement, the existing historic Victorian house. Obviously, we would get into more detail about the actual design. We wanted to include, a conceptual preliminary intent of what we're hoping to affect. So, the hope is to do a 17 bedroom square foot, two-story, single family.
Commission members? Would you like to do that?
Madam Chair, I move to approve lot split as recommended and suggested for the parcel number 004 21 008 125 1025 Start River Avenue.
The motion, do we have a second? Second. Motion and a second, call the roll?
Anthony? Yes. Luther?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next two items, I think we're gonna see together because one is the zoning, is the pedestrian retail overlay, and the other is the design review matter.
Madam Chair, we have a adjustment to make on the agenda, so it was our error, it is not a pedestrian retail overlay. It is actually an urban form overlay, so we no longer need to hear the PRO, because that's the designer.
Got it. That's what you were saying to me, then I got confused. All right, if it's okay though, I'm just gonna finish the zoning matters then. So this will be next, sorry to you guys. We have another conditional use pedestrian retail overlay, and then we'll close the zoning, so there's no public hearing, piece of public testimony. So the last item in the zoning is a conditional use. This is for the Jefferson Hill Townhomes at West Fifth and Jefferson Avenue. And this is, for 343.23 of the Freedom codified ordinances. Jeff Foster and Garrett Allen must be online. I'll turn it over to staff first to go, and then we'll turn it over to the applicant and then open it up for public.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Xavier Day. Prepping the slide here. Alright, it's just, my apologies for the delay. Everything's fine, right?
It looks like it's present.
Network connection issues.
Optimize speed.
I think everybody froze. I have the little circle.
So can anybody hear the folks online or no?
Oh, we can hear you. Hold on one sec. I think we got it back.
We're on. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Xavier Day, zoning section of city planning, and I'm going to present to you the conditional use case here for the Jefferson Avenue townhomes. And so this is coming to you because the site consists of two-family zoning district as well as semi-industry, namely the two-family B1 parcel being included is why you're seeing this today. And so this project, you see on the screen here, an aerial presenting the zoning contained within this project. And you can also see a site plan on the bottom right. So you see that part of this project is fronting Jefferson Avenue. And then the other path is also fronting the towpath bridge. Here's an aerial view. You can see north is diagonally to the upper right there. And so the right, you can see the house that's going to be demolished to create a driveway on West Fifth Street. And then on the bottom right, you can see the Jefferson Avenue view to the east, where a lot of that overgrowth is going to be taken out, and this project is going to be coming in there. That's the fronting end of Jefferson Avenue. And so, you're mainly the criteria you're looking at today is if this development is visually compatible with nearby properties, scale, height, setbacks, orientation, with existing streets, roof lines, architectural character, materials, colors, portions, and architectural features. So on the left, you can see some of the elevations, going about 4 stories up. Then on the, okay, you see these showing you the directionals are somewhat confusing given the building identification numbers that they're calling out here, building 2, building 2, building 2. It doesn't necessarily correlate directly with the site plan here too well. I tried to assist, so the units fronting Jefferson are actually on a further slide actually here. These units are going to be the units fronting Towpath Trail, my understanding. And so on the bottom there on the left, those northern elevations are going to be fronting the Towpath Trail. And then the top there is what's going to be the rear coming in from a motor court off of Jefferson Avenue. And so on the right, you can see some of the current context. This is just across the street here, across Jefferson Avenue at the intersection of West Fifth. It's townhomes. They're adapting to the elevation. They're fronting what Jefferson Avenue very well. They have a motor court coming off of West Fifth Street, a little bit to the left of the photo there. And then on the bottom, you see what would actually be behind you. If you're standing, looking at the top view, behind you, you would see these on West Fifth to the south. 2-family homes, single-family homes. Here on the right, you can see some of the current context of single-family homes further up West Fifth Street to the west. And then on the bottom photo here is West Fifth Street to the east, a few more single-family homes. This would be actually directly next to the project coming in, right on West Fifth Street. So to the left of that bottom photo would be that driveway where the house is going to be mounted. And so you're also looking at if the development site layout is arranged to create visual interest, promote security, safety, promotes safe and efficient, comfortable pedestrian vehicle circulation or interaction, and making sure that you're conserving the natural features and providing usable common and private open space. And so on the top left here, this is actually the elevation that you can see if you're standing on Jefferson Avenue. And so you can see they're keeping that retaining wall and creating some staircases going up. And then the unit to the on the left of the photo there is what you're going to see if you're standing on Jefferson Avenue. If you're coming down Jefferson and trying to get onto that towpath trail. And so I guess if you look at the site plan, this would be the right there. This unit's on the right. So really this next slide I have here is building features. So this is another part of the conditional use. This is another part of the criteria you're looking at. So we've got some elevations, some renderings provided from the developers, the applicants. So you can see this view as if you're standing on that towpath trail on Jefferson Avenue looking west. And so there is a motor court that is very difficult to see in this rendering. Right behind those first sets of units, right behind those first sets of units facing Jefferson Avenue. You see the bluish fire coming out of there, right next to the retaining wall. And then on the right, you see renderings showing you what you would be seeing if you're standing on West Fifth Street. You can see the house that's being demolished there, creating that drive-in that into the townhouse front. And so On the top there, you see some more of the criteria you're looking at, making sure that, like I mentioned, that you're making sure you're creating active, attractive street frontages that promote safety and walkability. And the essential elements that they're describing in Division G is more of those up frontage features, so porches, stoops, things of that nature, which you can see a lot on towpath, which is great, but we think it could be also implemented along Jefferson Avenue into that unit. One last slide here, just calling out the circulation of the vehicle traffic pedestrian activity going on here. So these 4 or 5 criteria are all really speaking to circulation of parking and pedestrians going on around the center. So we do have a few notes as far as the zoning staff's comments on this project. I believe that the applicant can explore the retaining wall, the motor court, other possibilities better, even, increasing glazing along Jefferson Avenue. Or traditionally, I believe in the past, we would really like to see that last unit fronting Jefferson to help a lot more of that safety, pedestrian access on the site.
So before we turn to the applicant and say if you're the process, we are just approving the conditional use. This one will go.
So I believe this is coming to you with final.
We are at a schematic level. This is the one that's requesting.
So when because we have the,
We should have
because we have this here, so on the near west, so they'll be presenting. So why don't you stop before we go to public, since we're gonna hear them both together. And then Jeff Foster here.
I believe they're online. I do have one last comment.
Okay.
Zoning staff would support the use in townhomes at this location. We believe that some of these aspects of the site plan can be more explored to really make a safer aspect for these.
Okay. So we're also gonna hear the design review portion before we act. We have 2 separate motions. We're still public hearing. But we have on the near west design review, the Jefferson Hill townhomes, it says it is seeking final approval. I don't remember seeing it for schematic.
This would be for schematic. It does come for schematic for conditional use.
Yes.
So it would not.
Okay.
Confusing it.
Okay, but it says final, so this, we're saying, the commission can decide that when we go, but, for likely schematic approval. Jeff Foster, Garrett Allen, if you're online, I'm gonna need to swear you in or anybody else. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, but nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury.
Yes, we do.
Okay, do we have slides that they're gonna present on the design? Okay, so, go ahead, and then we're gonna go back when you're done and take public comment, and then we'll meet, these are 2 separate things, right? There's a schematic design approval, and a conditional use. And we do like to hear them together, so we can understand. Go ahead.
Well, perfect.
Sure.
Thanks, Madam Chair. A little bit of overview before Jeff jumps into the design. Thanks for seeing this today. This has been a very challenging hillside that we have been working with about 4 different sellers to bring this to light. We have pretty intense geotechnical issues that we had to design around, which leads to a lot of the design decisions that we've had. We've incorporated some feedback from design review. I'm not sure if this is uploaded in this. I know Jeff sent them out, but mainly the comments from the local design review pertain to the retaining wall structure, and we've made attempts with our engineer that Jeff can further explain to reduce the scale for pedestrians that might be in this packet. Jeff can confirm that. With that, this is a great opportunity to put residential units near the towpath to make it more accessible and to kind of truly take this kind of blighted portion of Tremont and turn it into something that complements the existing character of the neighborhood while additionally adding a new offering that is needed in the market. So with that, Jeff, I'll let you go through our presentation.
Sure. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the opportunity, board. I don't want to repeat too much of what Xavier had just mentioned, but as Garrett mentioned, we have 14 units. It's a very challenging site. We've got about 23 feet of topography to deal with on this. But what kind of excites us about it, and you saw some of that in the renderings and some of the views that was in the previous presentation, but we've taken the approach of dividing the site really into two portions, which one of them comes off of Jefferson. So we have a motor court that drives access to 5 units off of Jefferson, and then the other 9 units are accessed off of 5th Street. So the photos that you see on the screen right now, context photos. So one of the things that most excites us about this is how this engages with Jefferson. There is a previous development on the northern side of Jefferson that has some units that face Jefferson. So we are flanking that a bit, but we're slightly farther to the east. And as Garrett mentioned, we do have some geotech challenges, and that results in a pretty large retaining wall. So if you want to flip ahead to the next slide. This represents what that wall looks like. So it's a Ready Rock wall, and a couple of steps that we've taken with that, and one of the comments we got from Near West Design Review was the ability to help foreshorten and bring down the apparent height of that wall. So as you saw from those previous renderings, when you have a 23-foot high retaining wall that faces the street, how can you make that as pedestrian and accessibly friendly as possible? So the two steps that we've taken with this is there's a stair that, if you look towards the center of that site plan along Jefferson, I'm going to call Plan North is up. It's actually sort of northwest, but Plan North being up. Along that north side of the development, we have a stair that runs down that retaining wall. So what that allows us to do is it allows the upper portion of the development, as well as some of the other neighboring houses along 5th Street, to be able to access that sidewalk that comes down Jefferson. Right now, that Jefferson right-of-way is pretty wide. There's a retaining wall that's there now. It's in various states of repair and disrepair, so that will all be removed and will be replaced with our new wall. But by placing that stair in there, it creates that pedestrian connection that we want to have between the streetscape and the core of our development. Second step of that is what's also reflected in the rendering, and it shows on that photo, and it's on the left-hand side of the slide. We have a couple planter boxes in this wall. It gives us an opportunity to step that wall down, as well as have some greenery that plants in 2 different tiers at 2 different levels coming on that height of that wall. So as I mentioned in the site plan, you've got 5 units. Towpath, to give you some bearings on that, towpath runs up down on the plan, and it's on the right-hand side of the page, and then crosses Jefferson. So we have 5 units that face onto the towpath. As far as we know, these are some of the first units that do front on the towpath, and we're really excited about how that interaction is. But they are, there's some topography there. So we still are up a little bit, raised up a little bit above the towpath, and there still will be a green buffer there because naturally either side of the towpath is some greenery, and our property line stops just beyond our units. Upper motor court comes off of 5th Street. There we have 9 units. We have a 5-unit building that faces Jefferson, 3-unit building that faces out over top of the lower 5 units, and then 1 single unit that's right at the end of the drive. Next slide. Our landscaping plan, we've taken the landscaping approach of keeping things that are somewhat low maintenance, obviously, but helps soften some of the views of this, especially as you look from West 5th and along the bases of the building. So we've got some of our plant species on here as well. Next slide. Unit types. We have essentially 1 unit type that goes across the development. They are 2 slightly different sizes, and there's some different amenities. So our units that face towards the towpath are a little bit of premium unit. They have a little bit more of an outside presence than the units that face towards Jefferson. But all of the units, this was a really important part of this development, is they do have exterior spaces that are at each level. So that was super important to us to make sure that people can engage with the exterior as well as the interior. Next slide. More unit plans. Slide. Last set of unit plans. Slide. Exterior elevations, so these are the units that face towards the towpath. We took a little bit different approach on the base materials for these. So as you look at the base of this, it has a stone product, so that you have a wearability and a durability and a really strong presence where it meets that taller base at the towpath. Then our materials up above, if you want to flip to the next slide, I've got some swatches and some materials samples of what that palette looks like. We have a series of different LP SmartSide products, which is a vertical nickel gap product on the rears. And then we have a varying array of different lap sidings that form some patterns that show in color on the renderings as well, with a little bit of wood grain siding to feature some of our recesses in the plan. A little bit of brick that faces around the bases of the units on the upper portion of the site to help give that a nice solid base. Next slide. And these are those renderings that show the exterior of it. So the top view is if you were on the towpath, sort of looking up Jefferson Hill. So you can see we have the two different buildings with how the retaining wall steps down. We did a slightly enlarged view in the upper left-hand corner that shows you how those two different planting boxes fit into the retaining wall and really help to bring down the scale of that quite a bit. Stair towards the center of the site goes up both east and west, so that you have that ability to sort of switch up and down and really form that pedestrian connection from the upper portion of the site down to Jefferson. View in the lower right is off of 5th Street, so this shows where we're removing that home that's in the center. That home is not a historic home. It was built sometime in the 90s, so that's the home that'll be removed. We do have a historic house on the left-hand side that's not part of our development, but we are, again, forming this entrance court with a couple of visitor parking spaces and a pedestrian access, and you can see how the building scales set back, but yet are complementary in some of their materials. I believe that's our last slide.
Yep. And to note with what Jeff said, we looked at this site for probably over a year now, probably closer to 2. We did attempt to minimize curb cuts by having one access off of either West 5th or Jefferson. Due to the topography, there's no safe way to do that whatsoever. And going on the home too, the home it's not historic, but it's also it's in disrepair. The interior of it is in very poor condition, and it'd be very difficult to renovate that home for any economic use.
So the comment that we had from Near West Design Review did have to do with the stepping of that retaining wall, and I feel like we've addressed that concern pretty well here. So we will be going back to them for their final approval. We do understand that, but obviously you see it on here for final approval today, so we'll use the term take what we can get from y'all. So we'll turn it back to you for questions and comments.
Madam Chair, I do have a few more staff comments. If you would allow for me to share some of those thoughts. This is mostly elaborating on zoning staff comments that Xavier began. This is some notes from Shannon Leonard, Chief Zoning Administrator. She sends her apologies, she can't be here today, but also she did a late review of this, so she did want to send some comments. Apologies to the architects for not being able to share this with us. So it sounds like the applicant used regular residential setbacks and guidance rather than townhouse code, so that should be, understand if they utilize 7.0.1 townhouse code, because the setbacks are unclear. It would appear due to the just like retaining wall, they are setback significantly more than the RA guidelines permit. They should use the entirety of the project as their default mass setback. The A building uses the towpath as their primary frontage at 8-foot setback, which is okay for all the units except for the A1. Jefferson can either be a secondary frontage, but historically we've asked units using public open space for interior frontage to treat the unit as a street, as the street being the primary frontage for that particular unit and articulating with the primary pedestrian. A second concern is the 27-foot tall retaining wall at Prince Jefferson. It could create a dangerous situation for vehicles and pedestrians alike. And instead of it being a pedestrian thoroughfare, this is the vehicle entrance and exit to the motor court. Sight lines are restricted for the site plan and rendering. And she would be interested in seeing more imagery showing what this looks like. that may be pertaining to the entryway. And then the retaining wall and motor car entrance and exit could create a potentially dangerous situation with pedestrian vehicle safety hazards. While she emphasizes with the challenging topography of the site, these units should do more to embrace comply with the building customer house regulations that would, permit increased density while also striving to create safe neighborhoods that comprise the street. The towpath project should and can be exceptional by embracing its digital reforms for products. We are trying to embrace more equitable access to the waterfront and publicly owned assets like the towpath. And so therefore this should be reflected and embrace that. There's quite a few more comments regarding the townhouse code if you would like more information.
Could they move?
Guys, mute online, or can you mute them?
Yeah.
Let's just get through to see if there's any public comment. There's a lot to talk about. So, from the zoning matter, is there anybody online who'd like to speak in favor of specifically the additional the pedestrian retail overlay?
Excuse me, Madam Chair, the conditional use
I'm
for
sorry.
townhouse and two family.
Sorry, yes, conditional use. Wait, so this one also is different too, yeah?
Yeah, this is fair.
Because that is not what it says. So is this a conditional use
For a townhouse and two family district.
townhouse and a two family?
But mainly because, the project
Yeah.
consists of a parcel and two
Got it.
family district.
Okay. Anyone online to speak in favor?
You see one hand raised, it's like a Mendo Villa.
Okay. Can you name and address?
Yes, my name is Mendo Veloff. I live on West Fifth, 2447. I'm actually adjacent to the property on the West Fifth side. Sorry, I had my hand raised. Am I clearly audible?
Yep, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. I know you had asked for who was in favor. I'm not necessarily opposed to this. I had some comments, so maybe I don't know if now is the right time to bring those up or.
That's perfect. Just make your comment.
Okay, well, thank you for taking the time. I'll run down a couple of things quickly. I understand it's not a legal requirement, but I do want to note that this project has not been presented to the Block Club. I know that is kind of something the city has pushed to before, at least just for public engagement, and that hasn't happened in this case. Sorry, I've just kind of run through some bullet points. A lot of the other things I think had already been mentioned, like the retaining wall, so I won't belabor those. One comment I didn't think was really covered was the house along West Fifth that will be demolished. I know it may not be in great shape, but right now there are no missing houses anywhere on that block, on that side of the street. And it would kind of create a bit of a missing tooth, a gap. So I do wonder whether it's possible to either rehab or even build a new house in its place. At least that way there's some kind of continuous street, continuous building presence along that side. Obviously, I have no emotional attachment to the existing building. It's not anything particularly interesting. So even if something new, contemporary would be built there, that would be great. Lastly, just along those lines of stepping down the building and the tall retaining wall, the townhomes across the street do step down somewhat, which do create a more pedestrian friendly view and experience walking down. I think, at least for some of the renderings that were sent out earlier, I think stepping that wall back and creating or putting in some planter boxes and things, it is better than what was sent out a little bit earlier to anybody that asked for it. So I think that is a good middle ground, and I think it does look better than what I was expecting. I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak who for any reason opposed as well? So I'm gonna close the public portion. I don't see any other hands.
Yeah, sure, I think I see it down there, for on this end up.
I don't know why I don't see it. Oh, there it is now. All right, Donna? I'm gonna unmute her.
Good morning again, Madam Chair and members of the commission. Are you?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So this project came to us a month ago, and that was the first we had heard of it at Tremont West Development Corporation. And we were hoping to put it on Co-Urbanize to gather public comment, but we didn't realize that this was going to be coming before you for final approval so quickly. And I know there was some discussion about that at the beginning of this presentation. So I do know that they did come to Economic Development Committee last night, and we would still ask that they go to the Block Club if possible. And I know that the developer, Garrett, said that they would be willing to, but I think, retroactively is a little bit different than before the meeting. But anyway, so some of the comments, I know the design review had covered them, but one thing that we really saw was the balconies. The renderings don't really show what the accurate details are for the balconies. So we found that to be a little concerning for final review. In addition to, there's no lighting plan, and there's no plan really for snow removal or trash cans, because we find that the trash cans, especially in such a walkable part of the neighborhood, do end up hindering the public quite a bit, the public right of way. And I think, saying that residents are going to wheel their trash cans out to the street every Friday is a little optimistic and probably unrealistic. So just wanted to add to that. So that would be what, 2 times, however many townhomes at least, in addition to more, along one of the more walkable parts of the neighborhood. So those are the main comments. Thank you very much for listening to Tremont West Development Corporation's comments. Thanks.
And Madam Chair, if I could, comment on a couple of the comments here. So, sorry. With respect to the trash cans, well, actually, first the Block Club. We're going to use the core urbanized. Donna indicated there are some issues getting that loaded. If that is a further delay, I'd much rather just go to a physical Block Club. I wanted to use the core urbanized. It sounds like that was the preferred method of Tremont West, and trying to use that more and more because it's easier to communicate it to everyone rather than going to a meeting. So one way or the other, we're absolutely willing to speak with the community. We have nothing against that. Trash, we went through PetBot, and so trash and snow, we went through PetBot, and that was the commissioner's preference, was to have Tilton rolls. And that's what they're advocating for these projects, and they had no concern with that. So going off of the feedback from PetBot. Snow removal, there is space to push snow. For the amount of snow we do get in this area, it should be fairly adequate, and there will be an association to manage snow removal. I've done a lot of these townhome projects, both as an attorney and as a developer, and that's really never been an issue. People can work around that, and if there's a need for actual physical snow removal, there are companies that provide those services, and they have been utilized in the past. With respects to the house, I just want to touch on that point. I'd love to be able to put something up there, add another unit to the site. Unfortunately, when you view the requirements of the fire department, you do have to have 20-foot ingress egress, and they've been very stringent on that. And this is the only way to accomplish that requirement. And more likely than not, the fire department would not approve anything without that. And we're even sprinkling these units to get ahead of their requirements. I'm sure everyone's familiar. There's been projects in the past that have come through planning, have been approved, and then the fire department materially alters them based on their review process. So that's what drove the house removal of that. We would have loved to have done something there at another unit. We did add the one unit. You can see there facing the street. We added that as close as we could without coming into foreseeable issues with the fire department. to kind of give that appearance that there is a home facing the street, just like there was at one point. So if there's any more questions, or Jeff, if you'd like to add to any of that, happy to discuss that in more detail.
I think we need to kind of keep moving. So to the commission, we have 2 items. We have to take them separately. And so, as we discuss this and however we go, just remember that there's a conditional use and a design review. And we are saying schematic, not final. And we are saying conditional use townhouse and 2.
Madam Chair, maybe to the director, can you just clarify, by approving the conditional use 2-family, how does that impact the next item as far as the design? So there's questions on design review.
So Shannon can take that one. It's interesting, it's conditional use, so we have to send it. So Shannon, why don't you take it away? Discuss.
Good morning, Commission. Shannon Leonard, zoning administrator. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So generally speaking, because of the conditional use in a 2-family from the legislation we passed late last year, a conditional use is site plan specific. So if you approve the conditional use, you're essentially approving the site plan as presented today, under the standards that Xavier laid out in terms of the site layout, the circulation, all of those items, as well as generally a schematic approval also, under my understanding, has always also been an approval of the site plan. So that's why they're coming together, because if you approve one, you've essentially approved the other.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Who was approval granted for the demolition of the home? Did they come with that?
The demolition of the home, it's not in a design review district, so items that are not in a design review district don't come to us. But because it's new construction, it does come to us. That's what we're doing today.
I just want to say one thing. I know I'm not totally convinced we should in the future hear both at the same time. The reason why, because we're conflating design, urban design with planning and layout, in my opinion. Because the comments, I believe, I'm going to make later, but I'm gonna let you go first, is that, you know, I'm not convinced from a plan perspective that, you know, this has been addressed as well as it can be. And what we comment there may inform the design later. So trying to entertain both, to me, I have an issue with, but I'm gonna be quiet and let my.
I feel like there's a number of issues as kind of brought up in Shannon's comments with regards to the townhouse building and regulations. So there's a number of issues regarding like the kind of current layout not following townhouse code. So I think like the applicant first and foremost has to go back and look at the current townhouse code in terms of the layout of the plan. I think just generally speaking, there's no way a 24 to 27 foot wall adjacent to a sidewalk is going to feel pedestrian at any point. Even the kind of, I guess the stairway that they showed in kind of the imagery, that would just be one run of stairs. They're showing 3 runs of stairs. It's almost like a 3-story walk up to get to the entrance of the building. That's never going to feel pedestrian like. It also hugs directly adjacent to the sidewalk. There's no like reprieve from there. You'd be walking directly adjacent to a 24-foot wall. I think it was like the person who lives in the neighborhood memos comments about the adjacent property that steps down, and their wall is kind of I think probably max, just looking at the photos, maybe 5-foot increments as they kind of step down Jefferson. I would encourage the applicant to look at that approach. They mentioned geotechnical issues. I don't know if that is the reason why they can't just kind of mirror what's on the opposite side of the street in terms of how they were able to kind of accommodate the drive-in, but then also kind of meet the ground plane on Jefferson in a graduated way. It just seems like, again, there's precedent right across the street. Why not implement that in the same way? I also think, to his point also about kind of, again, I think it's also Shannon's too, the kind of frontage on the towpath could be taken as special consideration to like those specific units. How it creates the towpath, kind of like, again, extending the idea that, you know, this is public realm and we want to kind of
celebrate that. But I think, the comments about the drive-in and also the kind of fortress scale of the wall, I think cannot be missed. It's not like, if you look at the rendering to the bottom, simply because the site is like growth is rising up because you're elevating it between the wall, it looks monumental to the scale of the buildings, the existing buildings in front. And again, I think like to Xavier's point, what we're looking at the conditional use primarily, does it fit the existing character of the neighborhood? I think just on this, the kind of shared use of that wall and that scale it automatically doesn't. But again, even before that, like looking at the current townhouse code is like. I'd like to make another comment, and in this day and age of technology, I don't know why we don't have more sort of modelings and renderings that we can look at. I mean, especially as you walk down the sidewalk next to this wall. I mean, there's SketchUp. Again, I don't practice anymore, but what I can tell you, there's ways to study this quickly to inform how one might ultimately design. I don't see that. I just see these two renderings that obviously tell a story, but it doesn't tell the entire story. My personal history for your articulation. Shannon has a comment.
We really do have to move on to the future agenda, so, I'm gonna make a actual suggestion that we consider postponement of both, for the local, the staff really work with the applicant. Of course, we wanna see the project move forward, but this has to be resolved, and I just don't think we're gonna do it today. I really don't think it's our role to kind of like figure the two out, so.
They needed some feedback
Yeah.
though. We
So-
needed this dialogue
Yeah.
so they
So
understand.
give a couple of I know you have some feedback, so I'd like you to go ahead.
No, I think Drew covered everything I
Okay.
had. So
Okay.
I would motion to.
You have to do both too, by the way, so,
Yeah.
we'll need to do both.
So, Madam Chair, I motion to postpone the conditional use of townhouse and the two-family. Should I put the caveats or you don't?
Yeah, that's fine, we're gonna postpone both, yeah. Motion to postpone, and, we have a motion to accept.
Second.
A motion and a second. I think I'll say to the applicant on both of these, your postponing means that you can come back as soon as you're ready. So staff will work with you, you work with the community. As soon as you're ready, you can come back. I'll call the roll.
Anthony?
Yes.
Luger?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Krista?
Yes.
Sargent?
Yes.
Motion, passes. The second one is the design review.
Another motion for Near West Design Review for Jefferson Hill Townhouse seeking what I believe was schematic approval. As well.
You have a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
Motion and a second, call the roll.
Anthony? Yes. Luger?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Krista?
Yes.
Sargent?
Yes.
Motion carried. So, Jeff and Garrett, know that we want to see something happen here. I work with you and to resolve this, so come back as soon as, we've really, advanced this. Thank you. Next item is going back on your agenda, actually, to its design review though. It is, find it, it is on page 8. And I thought that would be quicker, positive. This is 2024, it's unnumbered, Walton Apartments seeking schematic approval. This is with 3517 Walton Avenue. Do you all swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you show answer to the penalty of perjury? And as you present, just state your name and we'll go.
Morning to the commission, city staff, director, appreciate the opportunity. We're grateful to be here and present our new project. My name is Greg Aaron, I'm managing director for Volker Developments. Project that's ended up, it's really near and dear to my heart. I previously worked for Metro West, it's now West for about 5 or 6 years, and so spent a lot of time thinking about what to potentially on this site.
So fast forward to this year, 2024, we were successful in receiving an allocation from the housing tax. So this past May, they made the board announcements. We were one of 4 projects. Successfully engaged. So a little background, before I move on, you guys want to introduce yourself?
Kevin Drake as well from RDL Architects.
Winston Hong from RDL. So the project itself, it's located, it's actually a combination of one parcel on Walton Avenue, which is currently owned by the Land Bank, and then 4 contiguous parcels along Park Avenue. It is a 52-unit senior development, a mixture of 1 and 2 bedrooms. We'll have ground floor amenities, including a senior specific fitness center, community room. We'll have a beauty parlor, senior tenants as well. We, soon after receiving the allocation, we proceeded to kind of piece together the financing, given outstanding applications. We do anticipate closing and starting construction. So we're really excited about the project, happy to have RDL Architects on board. We've presented to Near West Design Review a number of times. We're in communication with West. We also have some outreach to Metro Health Hospital. So excited for the public health in the city. With that, I will turn it over and talk.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here, and thank you always for your service to the city. We thank you as often as you should. My colleague Winston Hung knows the project backwards and forwards and take most of it. One thing I did want to point out is that we, as Craig said, we've been to Near West Design Review on a couple of occasions, and we were able to go last week. We were seeking final approval, and be very well received, but of course staff will speak to that. But we did get some comments that were good comments, and because we had a little more time than usually elapses between those meetings, there was an extra. We were able to look at those conditions in some detail, and I think able to really be responsive to all of them, and we'll talk about those. But we would ask, if it's possible, that you would consider a final approval, because as you know, the low-income housing tax credit projects are on a compressed schedule, and if we can be efficient with our time and yours, we'd appreciate it, but of course, at your discretion.
And it will help as you present them to very kind of clearly state where that we made a comment and where you addressed it. So as you go through, it'll just be helpful to know.
Yeah. Okay, so Winston Hung again from RDL Architects. Now looking at the site. So the site is located near the intersection of Clark and Poland with the front of Clark Avenue and Walton Avenue. So looking at
Now, for weeks.
Okay. So looking at the aerial views, you can see the historical progression of the neighborhood, with increase of residential building, the introduction of the Hildebrand building, and also the Walton Public Elementary School, then up all the way to now with the multiple tenant movement into the Hildebrand building, the rallies at the corner of Clark and Poland, and then along with the Dollar General and then the pharmacy
And the one thing we'll point out, this is an opportunity to obviously Clark has moved to a very automobile-centric pattern of development. We think this is an opportunity to ensure that start to restore the street wall a little bit. Our community, yes.
And looking at these surrounding pathways, like I mentioned, a building that will be located at the intersection of Clark and Poland, with Raleigh to the east of our site, and the Hildebrand building to the west of our site, and also Dollar General adjacent to our site, and pharmacy as well, and also looking at number 3, that's where the current wall element. Again, looking at our site, the site is pretty flat, currently vacant, so we can do it. Looking at some of the neighborhood color palette and context, a lot of the colorful streetscape, a proud Hispanic neighborhood, a lot of modern retail moving into the neighborhood, but also that historical context of the Hildebrand building, some of the older apartment complex, and also the wall.
You will see some bright accents of color in the facade as we get there. Anyway, that's a way to bring in the commercial set and character of the building with the bright colored signage in a way that maybe is more subtle and also react to some of the public areas.
We're looking at the proposed site plan. So the site consists of 6 different parcels, 1 fronting Walnut Avenue and 5 fronting Clark Avenue. So with that, we've placed the vehicular access towards Walnut for that to kind of drive the heavy, to drive the vehicular access away from the heavy traffic from Clark and Fulton, which led us to the front, the L-shaped building of our building towards Clark Avenue to provide that pedestrian-friendly access, which conform with the urban overlay of fronting the building up against Clark Avenue. With the L-shaped building, we're able to create a drop-off zone, ADA parking, a nice public space for the residents to enjoy. So again, looking at the landscape plan, there's a blow up of that public space for the residents. So we placed the covered and uncovered patio towards the north of the building. That's where there's no residents adjacent to that space. So we're not disturbing the residents when there's large gatherings outside that public space. So as you walk towards the back end, the walls facing entrance, we have smaller congregated area for seating and then for waiting for ADA parking, for waiting for people to get picked up, and just a smaller, more intimate space for people to gather, which is outside of the resident unit, so we kind of give them more.
More quickly, I
Oh.
hate to say that.
Okay, sure.
We're so behind.
Sure, I'm sorry.
This is one area though, along the frontage of the building where some green space and plantings have been added along the building.
And, okay, so landscape, introduce a lot of local species to the site, creating buffer zone to the neighborhood, the surrounding buildings, and that seating area up front for people watching, and then that responding to the planning review comment, design review comments of adding vegetation up front at Clark, with a limited amount of space to kind of soften that edge of that edge wall.
I'd say we're really squeezing into streets and we can't do this.
We're looking at a tree preservation plan, and with the tighter side, first we have to remove all of the trees. But if you see a lot of circles on there, but if you look closely, you can see there are a lot of invasive species on site. So we're just with the tighter side, we got it.
This is the first time we've seen a surveyor mark Japanese knotweed as a tree. And if you look at those listings, there's Japanese knotweed, mulberry tree of heaven. So there's a couple elms, but it's a lot of the things that just naturally grow up on the side of it.
Again, looking at the sight lighting, we've provided amount of lighting for say vehicle driveway, not for candles, for safety, and then lighting shining towards the parking lot away from the residents to prevent that light overfill. Then along with the ball lights at the patio space for walk up for safety.
You can order your item from Amazon. Vaccinated now.
Every council person's gonna have a.
We can get at least between 1 and 2 points.
Yeah. There's a diagram of our building lighting. So we have provided down lights at the front facing canopy, also the long side canopy. Also addressing design review comments of having more decorative front facing lighting. So again, the south elevation we have provided wall sconces
along, along Clark Avenue, as well as, street lighting. And then also wall packs around, main entrance and also the stair. Looking at the signage, so the signage will be placed at the wall entry where the vehicle access is made, is located. It's gonna be, a simple design with the pop color that attribute to, the design of the building, that right away.
And final signage will come from when the sign company is engaged, of course, both for the monument sign, and you'll see on the front elevation, the channel letters on the canopy, we did increase the size and boldness of those and get these ones students, I think, that request.
So looking at the floor plan, we're in the senior apartment, so mostly it's gonna be resident units. And then looking at the first floor, we have, push all the residents amenities up front towards Clark Avenue for that, that storefront feel. So with, with the community space, the fellowship community space, living room, beauty parlor, and the fitness center. Upper levels, mostly resident.
You gotta make the
Okay, so looking at the Clark elevation, like we mentioned, with this massing, we would use a different color, different texture to kind of break up the massing. You'll see in the center that recess, and then that recess of the entry to kind of highlight that resident, that pedestrian entry. With the two corner, kind of corner presence on Clark Avenue, with that brick, use of brick and one band siding on the other side, mixture of the corrugated metal steel and the siding.
Given the scale of Clark Avenue both historically and at present, felt that using the full width and treating it as one homogeneous facade really, not breaking that scale letters.
And then again, looking at the west elevation, would be wrapped around from the front elevation. You see that continuous cementitious siding with the breakage of that massing, the use of the corrugated steel metal, and continuing the back with the minus. Looking at the east elevation, you see the cover of the patio space with walk up towards the vehicular oriented entry, and with the front break that access that corner present on
Because Rallies is such an open site that it's almost becomes another development. Concentrated area investment for contractors.
And last, the north elevation, looking at the Walnut Avenue entry with the vinyl siding wrapping around. Same design with that breakage of the corrugated steel. Here's a context elevation, looking at the Raleigh, Huttenberg building, and then also on the Walnut side where the residential houses, the Huttenberg building, and then Dollar General, you can kind of see, us with the introduction of the material, breaking up that massing. With the north elevation, it's really a 200 feet setback from the street. So, looking at it, it's not as close as it seems. Kind of comparison from schematic to final perspective for the design. So one of the design review comments is obviously the signage up front with the canopy with increase the size of that. Then there's the talks of increasing glazing at that corner, that double story corner at that community space. But just with budget constraint and then with the introduction of adding additional steel with more glazing, would add additional glazing on the west side, but not necessarily on the car glazing on the south, but then also addressing what you can kind of see the previous design at the window top not aligning with the adjacent unit windows. So we have addressed that, just raising the metal lighting up to line up that.
This would, with an affordable housing budget, the urban form overlay requires that 75% of glazing, which we think is good. We're kind of right at that, but we're trying to be as economical as we can and still allow some solid corners and panels for shear. So That's really the issue of the court. The other thing design review did ask us to look at is taking that upper set of windows in that two-story community space, whether those should go up all the way to the top of the other windows. And we did study that. It just was kind of an odd proportion. So we looked at it, and in the end, it was.
Almost, yeah, not the perspective, just that.
One more slide, you'll have you found it.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you very much.
Stand.
Whole commission, Brittany Claiborne, all. Most people, nice to see you all in person. This has come to us, to design review for conceptual and schematic, and they're requesting final, but although you are seeing this for the first time, I do commend the team for their responsiveness and providing information quite quickly. There were some preliminary review comments that I have offered, as well as design review committee comments that they have adjusted to, and I do commend the team. First and foremost, this is on Clark. This is a very kind of like, I don't want to say landmark, but there was a boat used to be here, and it was just kind of hilarious when Jenny Slideras made that comment, because everyone knows about the boat. It's just a vacant area. So to see this area being revitalized and used in a space that is needed for senior housing, that's just a plus for this area, and we're super excited to see this come down. And the committee is very in support of this.
And also meta director's commentary, this site we reported a few years ago at the Taco Bell.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. Urban form overlays.
I remember that.
We should give you a comment. We should.
That was a bad loss special, and we did it for the urban form overlay, and here we have senior housing, which is.
Instead of a
farm, that's better use, but.
I have two quick comments. I like the way you break the elevation up on the street, so it doesn't look like a big monolith. I think it was well done, in my opinion. And I would like to commend you guys on your clarity. This is the first one that I could actually follow without squinting, trying to figure out. No, seriously. Context, photos, historical data about, that's important. It's all about, not just about the buildings, about history, process, and community. Laid it all out. Thank you.
Also, to you, it's an extraordinary project. It was so great for the community, so I just makes me really, really happy, especially with the Taco Bell comment. And it's a tough street, so, but they come up to it this way, and it could honestly change the game, once built, for what will come after it and how people are gonna feel about that intersection. And so, in some ways, this is gonna set the bar and sort of change people's perspective about what's possible actually in Clark, which people couldn't imagine, you know, so, and as funky as it is, I do love that the drive is up the mountain, you know, and, because I think the curb cut there on Clark is just more the same, right, so thank you. And, on this one, I think final approval is appropriate. And I even would say to my fellow commission members, that this signage can come to staff. I mean, we do not need to see at this level, it is fine, stuff like that.
Yeah, we've agreed. They've also done some adjustments for signs, which I don't know. There was a comment mentioned that the community may be choosing a name. I don't know if that's still in the game.
It is, yeah,
Great.
we wanna, somehow weave this together with our community and the neighborhood sort of things. We're working with Metro West on a process to select. Tap into what's already happening. So it won't be called Walton.
I made them remove the senior out of Senior Walton Park.
Yes, that's right. Come out with corrugated metal,
This is the first one. So it feels like the material palette, would just be a little bit more focused.
What that's actually, we had started with a little more conservative palette, and in response to our first trip through near west, we were encouraged to. We have colors from the flowers on your shirt that come in the background too, but.
It's a call.
They live there.
Make a motion that the Walton Apartments receive final approval and that the representatives go back to the Department of Approval.
Yeah.
Staff.
Versus us.
Second.
Motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
Bird,
Very much.
Ray, Scott, and Sargent.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Great project. Yeah, excellent. Next item is, Northwest, Raptor, I get this right, townhome seeking final approval. This is at 1831 Revere Avenue. And Casey Marks is the developer, likely online. He's swear to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury.
I do.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We're gonna have your slides up, so go ahead.
So I'll be presenting today. I think you guys have heard from Steve Ciceretto, my architect, previously, but he's actually out on a trip right now. So I will do my best to get through any questions that you do have along the way. So the site location is at 1831 Brevier, which is in between West 25th and Scranton, right next to the development that you'll see. I believe it's Geis who is doing this, the apartment building right next door to us. So the plan that we have gone through, we've gone through our block club meeting, we've gone through PetBot, so we've gotten their impact and their feedback as well. And the slide that you're on right now, we did take into consideration some of the items that we had heard on our first review when we went through the near west, and in terms of like the size of our project as well as how many units it was. This originally started as a 6-unit townhome project with 1-car garage, and we changed that to a 5 townhome project with 2-car garage, based on everyone's feedback that we had for the first few meetings. On the slide that you're at right now, you actually see the streetscape that is pretty current as of right now, with the exception of they're actually like 3 stories higher on the apartment building next door. So if you look at the, I can't really actually zoom in there to see how big that is, but I think it's the southwest view, which is the back portion of our property. That is where the adjacent project's parking garage is at. Just for context for everyone to orient themselves with this. So if you want to go to the next slide there. We have gone through with a landscaping plan as well, as this is phase 1 of 2. So we did incorporate on the adjacent project. We are planning to do a little bit there to match this as well. But if you see the plants that we have, it is magnolia, flowering white dogwood, a rhododendron, just to color the street up a little bit. We also have a bike rack, because if you guys are familiar with the project next door, they are doing a little park over there, and there is going to be a path that runs through here. So we are incorporating a bike rack onto the property as well. And on the adjacent phase 2, that's where we'll have a bike rack as well, a bench. Going to the next slide there. So this, the west side of the property is where you see the actual driveway. So that is just for orientating yourself as well, and that runs along the adjacent property for the Geist development that's going on. So you see the back portion of this, which is be the southwest. That's where we have our trash set up with a private contractor to come and empty that out, so we don't pollute the street on Brevier with trash and recycling bins for 5 different units. That's also where the snow would be moved to. Go ahead to the next one. Just another view of what we're talking about there, the site plan. You can go ahead to the next one, Xavier. And again, if you want to go to the one with the actual have the view of the property. One more. Yeah, there you go. So that is our color scheme that we've settled on with feedback from everyone. Ultimately, what we're looking to try and do is have this project be a transition from the street, which is mainly single-family homes, and a transition into where the larger development is going on next door. So the view you see here of the 2-car garages, this would be facing the apartment building. And if you see in the bottom left corner there, that's really what the color scheme of the property would ultimately end up being. If you go to the next slide there, I believe you see the back portion of the property. Yep, so that would be the side of the property right there that actually faces the lot next door, which is a single family home. And there's I can't remember the exact size, I think it's 12 foot wide, but they have a small strip of land that's there that's no one will ever be able to build on, or I think it's too narrow. But the backside of this, we'd have a privacy fence that would be installed along there, and as well as like a small little patio space just to kind of keep the noise and the light pollution down. Go ahead, one more. And keep going. Actually, I believe yeah, you might not have the lighting plan on here, but just in terms of the lighting plan, just to keep the light pollution down, it is going to be down lights. I don't think your slide actually has the photo of it, but you guys know what the down lights look like, the black with the up and the down. Other than that, I mean, we're looking forward to trying to break ground on this before the winter hits, and I'm happy to field any questions at all. We went through the Near West design review, our final approval there, and I think everyone's really excited about the project to get started, and we really didn't have any major concerns from anyone during that meeting, and any questions at all, I'm happy to answer.
Want to say anything?
Sure, I'll be quick.
This is a Brittany Cleveland, city planner. This did come before us 3 times, conceptual, schematic, and final, and on their final approval. The committee was super supportive and really they worked meticulously with the CDC as well, and thankfully Donna led them on. This did originally have 6 units, it was reduced to 5, but as the client had mentioned, it is a phase 1 or phase 2 project.
I mean, unless there's something to add that's critical, if you're okay with it, I think we need to move on. So let's, what she said, Diane.
Madam Chair, I move to approve Near West design item 2336, Brevier Townhomes, super final approval, 1831 Brevier.
Motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony? Yes. Luther?
Yes.
Curry?
Yeah.
Graystaff?
Yes.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next one's postponed. We're going to do a special presentation for public art. The Cleveland Public Library Woodland Dialogue Sculpture, seeking final approval of 5806 Woodland. These very close to the whole treatment of the treatment, which shall answer the penalty of service. You, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Tara asked that I, thank you. Thank you.
It's very
Tara
slow.
asked me to talk in 3 to 5 minutes, so I'll go as fast as I can and hopefully help you make some time. They're seeking final approval for public artwork at our Woodland campus, located 5906 Woodland Avenue. You've all approved this project. They opened last summer. It is the reconstruction of our Woodland Branch Library and the addition of our central distribution facility, including a number of 700 stormwater site fixtures like screens and space and lighting. I'm going to skip our strategic priorities because no offense with those. Some neighborhood context, we're across the street from the police headquarters, Core Alliance, and just a couple blocks east of at Woodland Avenue. I already talked about our campus improvements. Here's some interior photos of this. The site that I'm looking at is directly outside the window from our children's section of this campus. We are looking at relocating the restoration process. A sculpture that the library commissioned in 2017 for our Eastman Beauty Garden. This is a dialogue. It's a 50-foot wide steel structure. It's made of a series of interconnected tubes whereby viewers can talk, and you don't know where your voice is going to come out on the other side. We intend to provide this transfer, so the communication among people who know how to speak with each other. This project was originally intended as a temporary project for the library that would own the artwork, and we have been actively trying to figure out another location to put it throughout our 27 bridge system. And so we were delighted to be able to put this into the Woodland campus. It is located close to the walkway and it straddles the sidewalk, as well as some existing pathways. Our artist is out of town this summer. Pardon my terrible Vice Chairman Cooper. I'm not as technologically savvy as my architecture friends, but I did draw a circle of the color of this where it will go on apologies. It will, like I said, go over existing seating, living walkways, sort of creating a playful artwork around our space. Just some technical data. It is 9 feet tall as well as 20 feet tall at the high point. Made of galvanized steel. We're using an epoxy primer looking for coating as well as the coat. Like I said, it will be the northern edge of our green space. It will be accessed via existing walkway as well as lower access. And our existing site amenities sort of fall in the structure similar to where you saw condominiums. It is visible from announcing arrival of our campus. It's also in line with the East Public Art Plan that was done the city planning desires for more public art within this corridor. We are changing the color of this. Red is the worst outdoor color we can use in this type of applications. And so as part of the restoration for this, it's getting changed to mermaid green here. Almost aqua is our base coat. It will be custom tweeted to change the mermaid green color, which was selected by the artist. And then these are just the steps for our enamel. These are some drawings looking at structural, the sculpture exists. We're reworking with the on this project to build the original level of the specs for the footers and the attachments, which actually don't show up in here but are part of it. I think it's a big question.
Let's read.
Chair, move to approve item number 2024, 027 under special presentation, the Woodland Dialogue sculpture as presented.
Second. Motion at 2 seconds.
Which one's it?
We had 2 seconds there. We'll give it to Erica.
All right. Anthony? Yes. Luther?
Yes.
Harry? Yes. Ray Scott? Yes. Sergeant?
Yes.
Motion carries. Really like the library design. Such an improvement. It's real.
I can sit down for that.
Thank you. Northeast, Northeast, this is St. Clair Superior Development mural site seeking conceptual approval for locations only 4115 St. Clair, 4515 St. Clair, 6918 St. Clair.
The applicant is showing virtually.
Is it Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. Joe, from Plan Studio, we're gonna tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, that you shall answer for the penalty of perjury.
I do, yes.
Okay. You can fly through, just show us the location.
Yeah, you can keep going through. This just shows the context in the neighborhood where the locations are. This is the first location, 4115 St. Clair. This is a brick wall facing east. We're looking to use this wall as a location for either a heat applied vinyl artwork or some kind of banner system that would be applied to the face of the building. Go to the next one. Yes, this is just a closer image of the wall. We currently have artist Amber Ford listed as the potential artist. 4515 St. Clair, this is just down the street from the other one. It is a south facing, so it fronts the street. We're looking at painting this wall. And this is the final site, 6918 St. Clair Avenue, which is a business called Maple Lanes. This is an east-facing wall. I think it's currently painted and in various condition, but we're looking to paint that entire side of that wall. And that's it.
Great.
Yeah, I do want to say, the one location, 6918 St. Clair, that one is in the design review district, Northeast, design review there, that location, the others who are not, so we're just seeking approval of the law.
Motion to locate.
Second. We have a motion in a second. I do have a question, like, I know we normally see these, but do we need to actually see the artwork? The artist, okay. Because I know, the reason I asked though in this instance is that, these are straightforward walls, and we don't make comments on the content usually, like it's not a purview. And so my suggestion would be, unless there's an issue,
Well, the ordinance requires that you all those on the ball, just to make sure it's proper placement, scale, context, and neighborhood.
I'm full of opinions today, by the way. May I, if I may, Max? No, seriously, I think we should consider. I know, but we get an update. I don't think we need to be that instantly involved in everything. I think we need to know what's going on, and it could be like a quarterly presentation. That's just my opinion. That's a whole other conversation. Talk to Rhonda Brown, I'm done.
Trying to look at the public art ordinance again.
Yeah,
Just-
exactly.
the motion in a second. I mean, we do have the authority though, because we are approving these locations of sizes to what the content of the staff on this piece.
Mhm.
And unless there's an issue, you can bring it to us. I mean, we have that authority, but we motion in a second. Oh,
Anthony? Yes. Luther?
Yes.
Curry?
yes.
Grace Scott?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. I would like to see them because I love them. But, so we'll see them back here. 140th Streetscape mural seeking final approval. This is the retaining wall on 140th Street between St. Clair and Lake Shore. The artist is Tara Petras. No, I'm just kidding.
So I'm gonna be as quick as possible on this. This mural is a product of public art program ordinance. And, it's the public art component of the East 140th Street Streetscape. The artist was approved by the planning commission last April, and we also are exempted of the work in. This concept got approved by the public art committee on August 29th. This artist, Nate Riddell, was selected, out of the 16 eligible artists, that of the 18 submissions, and we one of the finalists. We did engage the local community, very extensively, surveys. We engaged the church in the area, the job for residents of Longfellow, to community meetings, and engaged in random residents. The location is on, East 140th Street at the CSX retaining wall, the East Avenue. This is the existing condition of the wall. The wall is, varying in height, elevation from 2 feet on the short end, it's, 10.5 feet on the taller end, and it's 5 feet long. The wall is being patched, or has been patched with epoxy, urethane coating. It's kind of showing really extreme bound primer, painted with ultra flat paint and anti-urethane coating. So this is just a rough sketch, that the artist initially did. He actually did 2 concepts, 2 the second one. The concept that you're gonna see is based on the extensive community feedback that he got, in the engaged community. Here you see the full wall with small structure, more up close images. But, based on his response to the community, we have a concept of children walking, running, playing along the lake, city side, so in the background, because he felt like he was here to mix it urban, suburban, and out of the neighborhood. Again, we showed the red and gold color palette to become one color disparity and represent the area. And then the items that the children are carrying are some storage of the area. So a lot of feedback he got was about what the things that they make. They wanted to see children playing, they wanted to see things that they enjoy, sports, music, playground, those types of things. So this first image you see the close up of the girl carrying a frog, which is not to the neighborhood we call Frogville initially. The train is not to the train history in the neighborhood. And boy carrying airplane is not to Ohio being birthplace regulation. And this kid's carrying a book with a logo from high school job board, which are teaching in the area. And the girl is carrying chain of how that owl is an image of sculpture is on the long hill. And that's more what it would look like. Obviously, the children are different races, ages. And then he has a border around it because he gets some additional visual interest as well as consideration. So I am in support of this, obviously, he was chosen for a reason, based on his art style. He is planning to complete the mural tree study, throughout September. I'm gonna go on record because I told him I will. Councilman doesn't like it, but his sister doesn't like it. And he said that they have to look at art.
Oh, okay.
And so they don't want to think when they look at art and if it doesn't have substance, they don't like murals for people. I said I would share that with you all. But like I said, as soon as response, I was working for this when he made it. I read all the surveys. That's it, I'll share.
I think the rules said it. I didn't see that. I don't think there's that much thinking involved. I just think the Lindsay remembers black light posters.
I make a motion that the street landscape will be approved.
Second.
Motion in 2 seconds. I will, you can shoot. Drew, go give it to Drew. Motion 2 seconds, call the roll.
Alright, Anthony,
Yes.
Luger,
Yes.
Harry,
Yeah.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Motion carried. The next one is, streetscape sculptures in Buckeye. These are seeking final approval, and there are, locations at Buckeye and Moreland, Buckeye and MLK, Buckeye at Wood Hill. It looks like there are 4 in total, so, go ahead.
Again, this is another product of the public art program. This art is also approved by this commission last April. This concept that you're going to, these concepts that you're going to see were approved by the public art committee on August 29th. I do have the artist, James Simon, joined virtually when I get to the materials. I'm going to turn it over to him to speak. And this is in words 4 and 6. He's the same artist that did the trumpet. We have this private part that he's on the team in Buckeye. So, this is just an overhead map showing all the different locations. I do want to say that we're going to see 4 concepts today. He started with 13. He came down this community engagement at barbershops, hair salons, along the corridor, as well as at Edmonds, Rice Branch, the library. We went to the community forestry board meeting and group we served. And based on that community feedback, we narrowed those 13 down to 6. And then the public art committee narrowed it down to the 4 that you're going to see in the select locations. Selected which are the 4 locations. This is the first location, southeast corner of Buckeye Woodhill, existing conditions. Where it is actually used. And the artwork is going to go here. It's owned by State Basketball to celebrate use of perpetual love. We think the basketball really those programs represent in the neighborhood. Also, it was not considering the location across the street from RTA railway station. It's considering you better walk to from school and accessing those. The next location is Buckeye Road, MLK Drive. This one is going to have a boxer. The boxer is going to be on the north of the street. And that location is selected based on film majority being down the street. They have one boxing program at that location. And a lot of community members talk about Cleveland, sending people different boxers to how they develop the culture. And he's gonna have mosaic bodies, ceramic bed, ceramic blood. And on the opposite corner, which you see here, it's gonna be a strong earth. And that consideration also with the student area difference, that came up with to keep the balance and masculine and feminine energy of the sculpture in the corridor. This one's not going to change to a female strong instead of the male, which you see here. It's something that's important to speak to young adults. And then this next location, final location, is above that. Because there is this house with Evans and Collins in this park. Okay, and this one is going to have the gardening consideration of the plantings and park across the street. Now, as far as the materials, I'm gonna turn it over to James Simon. Before I say that, we are looking to complete this year or spring 25 at the latest. This is in Councilman, Council President Griffin's board, as well as Councilman British, who's very much in support, especially the boxer, maybe to her favorites of the concepts that they look at. So I'm gonna turn it over to James.
James, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and you shall answer for the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Warren, welcome, and we love your work. So
Thank
I
you.
first saw your work in Pittsburgh, I think, a long time ago. So, did you not do a sculpture there that was along, like a retail building or a similar one?
Yeah, I have some big sculptures downtown. Maybe that's what you saw.
Yeah, that's what I
The
thought.
musicians, the musician in town.
Musician,
Yeah.
all right, take it away.
So they're a combination of mosaic with some relief sculpture. Like the bodies will be, as you could see in some of the pictures, the bodies will be colorful glass and tile, and like some of the details, like the faces and the hands, and maybe if there's an animal in there, will be made out of relief sculpture, which will be ceramic that I cook and fire, and then I attach to the piece to give it a little bit of a combination of dimension and color. And they will be created on infrastructure that has a metal skeleton with a kind of concrete board on the outside that's attached to it, and then some pipes that will go into the foundation that'll fit like the male and female connections into the foundation. And yeah.
They're all gonna be 8 foot tall also, and visible on both sides.
Yes, both sides will be have artwork on them.
Any questions for the artists for the
I love that,
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the art as presented.
A second, motion and a second, call the roll.
Anthony?
Yes.
Luther?
Same.
Carrie? Yes.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Grace, yeah?
Motion carried. We have the Elevate East RTA Central Bus Facility now, seeking final approval 2500 Woodland Avenue. David and, is it Alan? Alan, welcome. Thank you for coming. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You show answers for penalty of perjury. I love this word.
Okay, see, this is just for these.
Oh.
Great. Let's let it.
Hi, so I am. Oh, okay, so I am, presenting the GCRTA mural. This is coming from Lakeside. This is coming out of the Elevate East, public art planning process that took place in 2018. Hundreds of residents were interviewed about what kind of public art and streetscape improvements they'd like to see, and this is one of those big projects. Next slide. I have the artists on the call here, Derek and Chad, just in case they wanted to say anything. Both experienced muralists, both have done community murals across the city. So they were selected out of a final 5, paid for the concept, and we picked them because we liked the concept, which is a short read, but also they had a very robust community engagement process. Slide. They hired on the following artists to assist with the mural. I'm sure that you all have seen some of their work before. Vasquez, all very talented as well. Next slide. Derek Chat, I don't know if you'd like to say a word or just, a quick word about how the mural, which you'll see in the next slide, is informed by the community engagement process that you did.
Yes, I can speak on that. So for community engagement, we went with many in the community, did pop-up events at Woodhill Homes. We did some workshops with Burton Bell Carr with some of the kids and teenagers. We gave out over 80 or so art kits to all the kids and sketchbooks. Just really trying to get them involved in art, getting them thinking about art as, a potential possibility as a career. And we even, explored drawing with them and just trying to get them involved in the project and incorporating some of their drawings actually into the mural as well. We also had face painter, caricature artist to come out and just share with them all the different types of art.
Thank you. Thanks, yeah. Yes, and so this is, the scale of the wall is really hard to capture on one screen, but it's approximately 728 feet, on, the RTA facilities wall right there. So I did include a full panel, but as you can see, it really doesn't capture the details. And then at some point, Derek and Chad provided these renderings. These are not the final, but to show how it would look on the wall. So I included those as well. Next slide. So I just broke it down about 2 panels at a time, starting from the beginning, and I included the dimensions so you can see roundabout what they were thinking in terms of which panels would, how long they would span. Additionally, RTA really wanted to have some exposed brick. They didn't want the entire wall covered, so it ended up working out because it ends up looking like sort of facades of the neighborhood. So you can see that, there are different areas covered: Morris Black, Woodhill, Shaker Square. Next slide. Shaker Square, you have Buckeye Shaker. So it's a mix of locations and specific places. Next slide. And then that is the existing mural that is on the wall. It's in the dead center. It was completed in 2021. So the wall is still in really good condition. Obviously, we experimented with this 50-foot section with that mural. So no additional prep needs to be done. It'll just go on as a standard mural application. Next slide. And this is the very last catalog. You can't tell those words, but it says very different. So next slide. So I just included a little bit here about maintenance to try to always kind of have a plan for if it is tagged or anything like that. So it will be coated with anti-graffiti coating, and then Land Studio will house all of the colors used in the mural, so that if when it needs to be repaired, or if it needs to be repaired, artists will have first right of refusal, but then we'll have the color zones for repair. It's a long. It's a long.
Madam Chair, to the applicant, just out of curiosity, why did they want some brick?
And Mary Beth was invited to the call. I think there's a little bit of hesitation about just not seeing any RTA facility wall. I guess to still, I don't know.
I'll keep my social commentary there.
The exposed brick gave it a little bit of dimension because, there's all of these different places and it's not necessarily geographically one way or the other or anything like that. So it ends up being like all these little scenes.
Yeah, feel like a
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. Thank goodness they're allowing us to do something.
I agree. I mean, it definitely.
That's gonna be public record now. Yeah. I just know what we went through when there was a choice plan with them about the location and what they wanted to do with their conversation.
This location is not in the design district, and for the transparency, our steering committee, there were several iterations of that to that you all see today. I think the artist did an excellent job of listening not only to the community, but to the guidance of the open.
Madam Chair, make a motion that the use of the city bus facility enroll is approved.
Second, second call, Paul.
Anthony? Abstain. Luther?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Carrie Scott?
Yes.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, we're gonna have to move a little quickly because we have some legislation coming after you. The last public art is 117. Design district changes. This is the Mobile Line Avenue. At Peaks District. Oh, no. All right. We're back.
That's another.
Is Via Santa mural. This is 250 Metro Health Drive. I already spoke.
Thanks, Todd. So this is, coming out of the Clark Fulton Public Art Project. This is one that, 2022, there were several of them that were completed, but next time. But this one remains. It's okay. Next slide. So it's gonna be on a wall in the Via Sana Development Corporation building that was just built. It's gonna be a heat applied vinyl mural. Next slide. So here's a picture of the wall where it'll be located. Next slide. Days one is the person who made the design, and West Camp Press is going to do the install. And this is a poem that it was inspired by, which is just a poem that a sad rhyme that parents say to children when they get hurt, when they fall out and get hurt. So I believe. And this is the design. Yeah, it's still by you. This screen first design is. Oh. There you go.
For the next slide, get on the wall. There it is in the wall. Pretty straightforward, and at West Camp, excellent. We did them all.
And the next slide is just gonna say that it's a good applied final mural, and I just included an example so that you can get an idea of what the application would look like. This is a good mural on the west. Next slide. And then I just included a little bit about the maintenance, so more or less easy to install, easy to de-install with the same method, heat if for some reason you need to replace them.
That one also is not in the design district. I guess it's. I didn't know that.
Move to approve mural as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, call the roll.
Anthony? Abstain. Luther?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yeah.
Carrie Scott?
Yes.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Motion carried. I'm gonna skip, thank you very much. I'm gonna skip the special presentation because it's for information only, because we have 3 mandatory referrals. And so let's go do those and see. Ordinance number 831-2024, so this is declaring the intent to vacate a portion of West 48th Street in the court. Is the assistant director, Mr. Chambers, and here anyone from the city?
For now, see if she's.
We need this representative. Let's go to the next one.
They're off.
Are they all the same people? Yeah. Okay.
Let's do the administrative approvals. There are only two. Just take a quick look at those. See if there's anything out there. And before we take up motion.
Madam Chair, I move to administrative.
Second. Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Is that McCray Scott second?
Yep. Yes.
Yes. Anthony? Yes. Luther?
Yes.
Bird?
Yes.
McCray Scott?
Yes.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Motion carried. We're gonna vacate portion of the street.
So they are coming around the corner right now.
Okay.
Here soon. Yeah.
How are you? Welcome. Do not worry. We are really behind. The first one, we are hearing is, the vacation of the street, at West 48th for the meeting court. I'm sure it's very straightforward. And that's
I can just take.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Sorry.
okay.
One more, sorry.
Reading this brief meeting right now.
Yes, we're doing, West 48th Street and Russell. And it's closed.
Yeah, so just go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slide and say.
Thank you. So we are here, to seek the intent to vacate a portion of West 48th Street Southwest at Ravenport. The owner, Mr. Acevedo, has maintained this area since he purchased this property by Rio Monte in 1976. He's been cutting the grass, doing landscaping of the area, and plans to add an addition and garage to his house. The location and design are contingent upon whether the vacation proceeds. Manager Governor here, to request that the shape parcel. As you see on the first slide, there is an existing site is highlighted there, right at the corner of West 48th. But on the other side is what is called Bridgestone Court. If you look at page 2, you see the all parcel, and then you see the highlight for the proposed parcel along that section. There are currently two houses on this. So that's the proposed site plan. Here's the street you go into.
This is for a vacation. Is there a charge for the parcel? Just curious.
He purchased the parcel from RTD in 1960.
No, I mean the new, what's vacated. This, the amount that's vacated.
Is there a charge for that? No, not sure.
Amazing.
This reverts to the
Yeah.
property.
Yeah, but I mean.
Right.
Okay. Well, it's pretty straightforward.
Madam Chair, I move to approve mandatory referral item number 831/2024.
In a second, both. Motion and a second, call the roll.
Anthony?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Curry?
Yeah.
McCray Scott?
Yep.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Motion carried. The next one's ordinance 8142-024, authorizing the director of capital projects to issue a permit to Depot on Detroit to encroach on public right of way on Detroit Avenue by installing and maintaining a concrete stairway.
This came before you for design review. It's the RTA station. go to Tracy.
Is that right there?
Is this what you're looking for?
Oh, yeah.
And first into the public right of way of Detroit Avenue, the new concrete stairway. This is the wrong. The design of the proposed stairway will replace an existing site stair which currently extends 4.3 into the right of way and connects to the existing public sidewalk. There is a visual on page 2 of the existing. And as you see that there is an extension of this stairway shown on the fourth page. So we have the schematics, the subdivision, and then the proposed page. So because they have changed the alignment of the stairway, it approaches 4.3. We like to bring it.
And we would approve ordinance number 814-2,
Second. Motion and second, call the roll.
Anthony? Yes. Rupert?
Abstain.
Kurt?
Yeah.
Craig Scott?
yes,
Sorry.
Yes.
Motion carried. The last one is ordinance 815-2024. Authorizing the director of capital projects to issue a permit to Flaps South Cleveland to approach on the public right of way of West 4th Street by installing, using and maintaining a wooden stairway and a wooden ADA accessible ramp with metal guardrails and handrails.
Another stairway, this is a part of the warehouse renovation plan at 1986 West 3rd Street. To allow for encroachment into the public right of way, West 4th Street by installing and maintaining a new stairway, and being able to ramp with metal guardrails and handrails. Through your package, you will see an outline of where the new encroachment is requested to accommodate the stairs. A ramp will be built parallel with existing 28-inch high dock, extended into the right of way of 3 feet and 6.
It's a housing project. This is a housing, building and housing,
Housing project, it is a warehouse renovation. I don't believe it's
like someone, this is for workers.
Flat South Cleveland LLC. It doesn't look like it's housing.
I mean, if it's housing, it's back. Right.
Madam Chair, I move to approve ordinance number 815-2024.
second,
Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Anthony? Yes. Rupert?
Yes.
Curry?
Yeah.
Craig Scott?
yes,
Sergeant?
Yes.
Motion carries. A question to the director, should we, is the designer review, on the rain quick? You can hear it, hear it the next.
We could, so our intent was to do an info only today and then have a vote at the next meeting on the 20th. This is to alter some of the design review district process. And we wanted to make sure that the public was aware of these. We'll post it on the website as well. We think it could be 5 minutes or less?
Yeah, there's 3 permitted, I could do 5 minutes.
5 minutes or less?
Possible.
Something we-
Try me, you.
What do you want?
Give the information, I think it'd be fine to just show, at least we'll be aware of it.
Yeah.
But can you do us a favor, can someone go do the parking change so we can leave right away? Because we have to wait for them anyway.
They gave it.
It was already.
There's a new thing, so we already have.
Oh, we're done. I was gonna buy it in 5 minutes, but go. Alright, we'll pretend we need to wait for that.
Okay, so good morning, commission members, and all parts planner. We presenting map changes 26, 83, 84, and 85 today. So just to give context for the area we're talking about, we're in Far West Design Review region. Next slide. The purpose of these, or proposal for map change 2683 is to add parcels along Detroit Avenue to the West 117 Design Review District. And the purpose of this is to grant oversight for Far West Design Review Committee and City Planning Commission effects on our urban battery corridors. Next slide. The process here, essentially we assess the existing design review districts. We drafted a map for our districts, met with staff, met with the council person and CDC. We gathered their feedback, presented at Far West Design Review, gathered their feedback. Today we're doing info only presentation, and our intent is to have an open public comment period between now and September 20th, and bring it back for a vote. Next slide. So here just shows the existing West 117th Design Review District in the yellow. The red is the landmarks districts around it, and then the purple is the expanded district. Next slide. Next slide. Maybe you just run through these. These are all just context photos of the area. We'll be segmented. So it's a commercial corridor, mainly 2 to 3 story commercial buildings, mixed use, some office spaces, some churches, pretty commercial in nature. And then towards the end of the district, West 107th Street, we think the transition towards more residential neighborhoods.
The property owner.
So that our intent is to get notifications out on Monday and then have that publicly posted and postcards before the next plan.
Has there been any engagements?
Mainly this, I think this will be our public engagement, eventually, but we have engaged on the person, CDC to make them, yes, they're supportive, there's a letter of support, I think attached in the.
So the next meeting, which will be public hearing and zoning, will have significant. Yeah, okay.
Should I go to the other 2 real quick?
Other districts.
2 more, one's a removal, we can run through really quick, and one's another,
Can you verbally run through the removal one?
yes, so the removal, essentially removing residential parcels from the West 107th Design Review District. These are all residential properties, 1 and 2 family properties that were added a long time ago, mainly residential side streets. And removing them will allow relief for the property owner, the homeowner, when they're trying to get repairs such as siding, roof repairs that come to us. But we would never bring these cases to you guys anyways because they're such minor alterations. So removing them will just remove essentially the administrative burden. That's that one.
Yes, they would go straight to building and housing rather than planning.
Preparing the siding on the house. Or just.
Yes.
They come to our plans. They get routed.
No, but I mean, not there, I mean, just generally in the city, it's like if I'm repairing something on my house.
I believe so, yeah.
Did the Ohio Revised Code change?
But like, that's not true, like, you don't, like, I know if you're like changing the whole color of the siding of your house, maybe, but like, for general people who just do home repairs.
Yeah, I mean, we get walk-ins all the time for housing, they were like, I just want to report.
What if you replace the roof?
Yeah, that needs.
Really?
Well, no, we're not replaced, what if it's repaired? You don't need a permit. Like, if I have a leak in my roof, I call someone to come repair it.
That's a repair, it's a replace.
But they still do take out a permit, so.
But you should. Like, that is like, so wait, let's just clarify. If you're replacing, I get it. If I call someone to come repair my roof or repair a piece of siding, like, I don't need a
Yeah, I think
permit.
if they're replacing a portion of If they're replacing, sorry.
So.
No, I actually know,
So what if, so
They're
that would
wrong,
imply
but-
like redoing like the big window?
But I had a leak in it,
Yeah.
I didn't get it, come
Yeah,
on.
we will, I mean, they're administrators.
I'd still be waiting for it if that were the case.
Well, that's why we're trying to review. The secret of the review should have happened.
I'm sorry.
Because there was no reason to have to.
Wow,
Wow, I didn't know that.
Because operationally, people are walking all the time and they're like, we just can't stop to sign up, which should be easy. But essentially just go straight to the.
So does building and housing take a walk-in if I'm preparing to part of this, deciding?
Yeah, you can usually walk there.
Right.
So the same day?
The best guess, definitely, I believe it's as well.
No.
Really, it's density thing.
Interesting.
Well, there's two boards of party that I need to repair and I'm sure.
I'm going to hell.
There is one more.
All right.
Yes.
This is it, right?
Uh,
No, this is the removal. We're removing the residential properties.
and residential parcels, rather.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, it's.
And the day-to-day of planning.
When I painted the awning on the front of my. Gray.
That's made, that's like maintenance.
Well, I heard, but they were on the front, I heard they didn't change them to a little darker gray, I treated myself, I guess if they painted them.
That's fine.
That's fine, okay.
But you're part of a homeowners association, actually. Oh, good, you're alone. Not worth those other guys. Okay.
Here's the last,
Oh, Carl.
the last one here is, creating a new design district known as Lorraine Antiques Design District, between West 83rd Street and West 61st Place. So as you can see in the red there on the map, those are existing local landmarks districts. And then the green is the creation of a new, design review district. It's missing tooth on Lorraine essentially, where there's no, current oversight. That's all we're trying to do is add oversight, to our commercial corridor, which.
Lots of people investing there, it's super cool.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And we
I don't-
lost a lot of our urban fabric.
Yes.
So we're.
But it's got, it's sort of like a, gotta have a vibe, it's good. Okay, but you'll notify everybody, then we'll see you all.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Director.
thank you.
Director.
Meeting adjourned.
Director.
Lots of stuff happening on the streets. West 49th Street, Open Street has been super fun. We had a great family hour hosted by one of the small businesses. City Hall also hosted a protected bike lane workshop, so we took the initiative to invite multiple engineering firms to say, we want protected bike lanes and we want up their capacity in terms of what we're expecting. So we had almost every major firm locally come in to hear about that. And then mobile parking expansion is happening across Ohio City. You can find out more on this website if you're interested. And then we are looking for a replacement for the planning commission administrator. Ella Rosak is very organized. So we're seeking somebody really good for that. If you have thoughts, feel free to let us know. And then the last slide simply just shares a little bit more about some planning services that we're executing on. We are going to start at East 55th Street corridor safety study called the length of it, the city of Cleveland. We're working on public art process for the ODOT bridge gap project, and then for the road, we're working on streetscape because there's so much investment there right now. So.
Quick question, Director. Way back when, I asked Michael one time if I should swear folks in public government. He said no, but really a swearments.
Because they're designer, yeah.
But I would, you know, I've had this conversation. That's why I just want to be sure we're consistent.
What?
You don't need to check.
But like, they're considered designer.
No, these two.
Public art.
Oh, no, but like, my point is like,
Public art.
they're public art, but it's design review.
I've seen
Well,
that.
it's not the Public Works of Art ordinance, which is separate from the.
Well, they consider them extra city.
Sure.
All right, I just wanted to be clear so we're consistent.
Maybe also as you think about the position description, we can hire, like, some of the scope of, a lot of what August brings up, the process improvements around the consistency of both the, let's say it could be part of their job, right? The consistency of the presentations, making sure we have, like the kind of materials that we can kind of quickly assess. And also just maybe in addition, some of this, when we experiment how we do it, the thing like, oh, they can take a fresh look at it basically and really think about how we can do things better. I always like to improve.
Yeah.
So, a great job for someone, especially even if you think about someone out of school who wants to just get to see everything and all the sausage making, and then, they might move on to something else. Great opportunity. Someone out of school. But you're